Please let us welcome Mr. Abe Vikrama on stage.
Thank you very much. Engineer Shant Senarath, President of the OPA, Mr. Dulit Pereira, President-elect and the Chairman of the Annual Sessions Committee, and the rest of the OPA members, ladies and gentlemen. We have been dreaming about maritime hub in Sri Lanka for the last 25 years. And the title of my lecture today is The Dream of a Maritime Hub in Sri Lanka for the last 25 years and some of the new developments in the global logistics industry. The strategic location alone does not offer Sri Lanka an opportunity for the country to emerge as a maritime and logistics hub in Asia. An example of another strategic location only is Hodeida in Yemen, which has not got the opportunity to emerge as a hub. Meanwhile, Singapore and Hong Kong to a lesser extent are ports with strategic locations and got everything else right and emerged as hubs. Sri Lanka has a lot more to emerge as a hub. Singapore port handled about 36.87 million TEUs, as Tania said before me. 36.87 million containers, indicating only a slight decrease compared to 2019, despite the global recession due to COVID-19. In addition, there were over 4.91 thousand vessels sailing under the flag of Singapore as of November 2020. As Tania said before me, Sri Lanka talks about 7.2 million TEUs or containers and has negligible amount of vessels sailing under Sri Lanka flag. While Singapore's geographic location in the Strait of Malacca has been favorable, its preeminence as a global port was not by chance alone. The decision to build the first container terminal in Singapore was taken in 1969. Back then, there was no other container port in Southeast Asia. Since then, the port's throughput has been growing steadily. While the bunker sales amounted to around 31.6 million metric tons in 2007, they reached almost 50 million metric tons in 2020. The Port of Singapore has played a significant role in the economy, and over the past decade, it has supported Singapore in achieving a high level of economic development, not only in only one generation. We have been dreaming of a development of the maritime hub in Sri Lanka since 1995. It continues to be still a dream. We have been making a lot of noise in the media and writing 6 maritime policy documents. They were all very comprehensive and detailed, covering the maritime industry and ancillary services. All stakeholders participated in drafting the documents. Vision of the last policy document: to become a leading global maritime hub and maritime and logistics hub, while maintaining a premier status in the regional maritime and logistics by affording and facilitating the best technology and convenience to all stakeholders, thus facilitating the economic growth in Sri Lanka. That is the vision in the last policy document. These are the missions, which I don't want to go into details. Chapters in the latest policy document. Chapter 1, ports and related infrastructure. Chapter 2, development of maritime related services. Chapter 3, ships, ship owning, ship and crew management, shipping, NVOCC agency, coastal shipping. Chapter 4, development of logistics and intermodal infrastructure, harmonization of regulatory framework. Chapter 5, maritime safety, security, marine pollution prevention, and maritime training. Promotion of small and medium scale enterprises in maritime and logistics is Chapter 6, and Chapter 7, restrictive practices in maritime and logistics. Now, there was a question raised about training and education in maritime industry, saying that we didn't have enough people to run this industry. I want to just mention that the Moratuwa University conducts a degree program, established a transport and logistics department. Kotalawala Defence Academy has a degree in logistics. SINEC Maritime Campus has a degree in logistics. Institute of Chartered Shipbrokers conducts professional courses. The Chartered Institute of Transport and Logistics were conducting courses but have not been doing it in the last few years. Then there are few private academies also who do training. And every year, over 100 qualified students come to the market. But unfortunately, they don't have jobs. As far as the policy document is concerned, a very small percentage of recommendations in the policy documents have been implemented. Even now, there is no interest in the policy document by the stakeholders. Only a very few even only a very few have even read the 150-page document. I must state at this point that the government sector does not have knowledge and is conversant in the maritime policy area. Both politicians and public officials frequently change and are ignorant. Apathy of the stakeholders is a major contributory factor for not progressing on these policy documents and the proposals. Compare the lobbying against the foreign participation of agency business in Sri Lanka, or lobbying against the foreign policy participation in the agency business. But nobody is bothered about the policy document, not for a few months, but for 25 years. Even now, there is no interest in the stakeholders of this policy document. And as Tanya also expressed, there are so many things that have to be done in the logistics sector, which are not being implemented. And as a result, we are lagging behind in the industry globally. And in the global rankings, as Tanya expressed, we are very low and insignificant. Now, some of the new developments in the global logistics industry I will touch now. These are some of the technologies for logistics innovation: big data, enterprise applications, artificial intelligence, analytics, cloud computing, mobile security, etc. %41% of the total supply chain cost savings come from optimizing supply chain infrastructure. And I have mentioned here a list of things which are in the infrastructure. The challenges faced by companies today include growth in omnichannel retailing, significant reductions in order lead times, smaller, more frequent orders, environmental and recruitment pressures. Consumerism and the growth of the internet will put even greater pressure on the manufacturer and their warehouses. Consumer awareness and demand for new products and services will continue to increase. Concepts such as fully automated warehouses, carbon neutral buildings, hybrid trucks, robotics, voice operations, and optically guided pickings are all in their various stages of development. Online buying is another paradigm shift in the logistics management. China's direct-to-consumer e-commerce sales grew 42% in 2013 to $305.5 billion, and McKinsey's forecast that by 2020, e-commerce in China could generate online sales of $650 billion. The massive growth in online sales in turn derives the need for comprehensive nationwide B2B and B2C logistics networks, stretching China's express logistics sector capabilities like never before. Last year, the express delivery providers delivered 9 billion pieces, up 61.6% year on year. Hong Kong-based Strawberry Cosmetics, who offer a range of 30,000 products from 700 different brands, Strawberry Cosmetics subsidizes all shipping and uses the postal service networks to service markets all over the world from their main distribution center in Hong Kong. This is the logistics hub core service, track and trace, real-time access to supply chain visibility. Characteristics of the 2016 supply chain will be based on multi-partner information sharing among consumers, the originators of demand, either from home or from a store, suppliers, manufacturers, logistics service providers, and retailers. RFID usage will increase gradually. Key features in the logistics hub are given in this slide. Once produced, products will be shipped to collaborative warehouses in which multiple manufacturers store their products. Collaborative transport from the collaborative warehouses will deliver to city hubs and to regional consolidation centers. Warehouse locations on the edge of the cities will be reshaped to function as hubs where cross-docking will take place for final distribution. Final distribution to stores, pickup points, and homes in urban and non-urban areas will take place via consolidated deliveries using efficient assets. This is the supply chain management model, which shows supplier, manufacturers, retailers, right product, right place, right time, and the enabled technology. Sustainability will play a significant role in supply chain operations in the future. The Green Lobby will look into the supply chain for initiatives in terms of alternative energy use, reduction in CO2 emissions, waste and water usage, and the use of alternative forms of transport. This will include intermodal transport initiatives as well as fuel-efficient materials handling equipment. Let us look at Singapore again. The port services are an important source of revenue. Singapore's seaport is the busiest in the world, handling more than 36.87 million TEUs per year, as already mentioned. Together with extremely modern Changi Airport, it forms one of the world's most prominent transportation hubs. Changi Airport serves more than 100 airlines flying to some 320 cities in about 80 countries and territories worldwide. Each week, about 6,700 flights land or depart from Changi, with more than 54.1 million passengers passing through the airport a year. We believe that the facts and figures speak for themselves. In Singapore, services are the biggest sector of the economy and account for 72% of GDP, and transport and storage share is 10%. I repeat, in Singapore, services are the biggest sector in the economy and account for 72% of the GDP, and transport and storage share is 10%. Tania also mentioned this. This is the South Asia hubbing. Tania showed this as well before me. Sri Lanka's e-business has failed to introduce a proper e-business network and relies on SLPA and customs at present, which is not satisfactory. There is a requirement for proper connection to the following stakeholders, which are buyers, terminals, carriers, freight forwarders, value-added service providers, government agencies, customs, financial institutions, insurance companies, and sellers. We have also not paid any attention to the use of cryptocurrency and blockchain, which are the new developments in e-business. National Ports and Shipping Policy, one of the 6 we have done in 2004, spoke about the electronics business, but unfortunately, none of these are implemented. And there is no interest in the government or the stakeholders to progress on these areas. We developed an integrated logistics center concept in 2007 from SEMA, where I worked. And this again has gone back to the dustbin. Details of the integrated logistics center concept: facilities to be housed, standard yard area, warehousing areas, bonded stores areas, value addition centers, logistics distribution centers, collateral management centers, service areas, among others. As US Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, 1906 to 1992, once said, the most damaging phase in the economic English language is, it always has been done that way. Things are changing and we need to be ahead of the game as logisticians. Tanya also mentioned this. This is a serious problem we have in our industries. Thank you.